Just around the riverbend, just around the riverbend,
just around the riverbend, where the gulls fly free.
Good.
I feel like I'm preparing for my fucking voice teacher. Did she hate it?
Hi, everybody.
Hey, how's everybody doing today?
Welcome to episode 12, lucky number 12 of...
I thought it was 13. Is it 12?
I don't fucking know. Cause I thought last week
you're right, darling. You're correct. No, you're right.
I'm right.
You're right.
So next time, just trust me, okay?
Not the read.
Anyway, not the read. Episode 12. Can you even fucking believe it?
No.
I can't believe it.
I can't believe y'all are still listening to us.
Me too. And for those of you who are watching, I especially can't believe it. Because this is a new episode. Like, this is terrifying. Like, it's not even funny. It's scary.
No, these costumes, you guys, when we first came on, and if you're on Patreon, you will have seen this, but I thought Brett was me. And I'm if you can't see us, I'm Grandmother Willow. Okay, I thought Brett was me. He wasn't. So if we look a little closer.
I am the hummingbird. Because I thought I was going to be coming on
I love how it's
Zoom
my fault.
call.
It's now my fault.
It is your fault, girl. No, just kidding. I thought I was going to be coming on this call, and I thought Lex was going to be the raccoon. And we've been on a roll of not wearing the same costume. I was like, well, if Lex is going to be the raccoon,
once.
I cannot be the raccoon. And I really want to be the raccoon. I had a mask, I had ears, I had everything. And I was like, no, Brett. Like I'm pretty sure she's going to be the raccoon. I'm going to be the hummingbird. So I put on green and pink face paint. I look
so scary.
Like an evil Star Wars character.
He does. It's Darth Maul vibes.
Darth Maul's gay cousin. I look really scary. But you know what? I have really resonated with that fucking hummingbird.
The stubborn hummingbird. Mm-hmm.
The stubborn hummingbird.
The stubborn hummingbird.
The stubby bubby. So whatever. I look the way I look, and I'm sick of apologizing for it.
No, you honestly, I feel like you ate with this look. And you were correct. You were
I look
correct.
like I eat children. Yeah, I look scary.
It's like you should be locked up. You were correct. I was going to be the raccoon. Turned out I had none of anything. So I put on this green shirt, got these leaves, and here we are. So he's
works.
mad at me. We're having a little bit of healthy tension over this.
Healthy tension's good.
Well, it definitely...
It adds to the sexual tension.
Thank you for reading my brain.
Yeah, exactly.
Welcome, everyone.
Welcome, and today's episode is about the very controversial, the infamous, but spectacular Pocahontas.
Oh my god, I love her so
Pocahontas. Let me ask you, Lex, what were your preconceptions of Pocahontas?
Well, as we both know, obviously both of us had seen this film. I will say I don't remember growing up with this film. We didn't own it, I don't think. However, I watched it when I was in university, and I remember literally, I was 20, sobbing. I was like, what is this? What is this fucking masterpiece? And I've been very attached to it since then, but I didn't grow up with it, so I feel like I have a unique perspective, but I'd obviously seen it. I know this one for you, this was on repeat.
This is a big one for me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think. I think we did own this film. There were a lot of scenes rewatching it this time where I was like, oh, I remember that. I remember that. I remember that. This wasn't one where I was we were burning through the tape like it was like Little Mermaid or Aladdin.
Interesting. Okay.
But we watched it every once in a while, and I think the older I get, the more I appreciate the nuance of the story. And because it is more of an adult plot.
Oh yeah.
Than some of the other ones, but yeah, I just remember loving her hair, and the art in this movie is next level. Definitely the most gorgeous one we've seen so far.
Stunning.
It's stunning. It's stunning.
It's stunning vibes. It's absolutely stunning vibes in there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there's just so much to unpack about this film. And I will say, I feel like we need a disclaimer, we both acknowledge the problematic aspects with retelling a story that is actually has roots in history, and a very problematic history at that.
Yes.
So we're aware. We get that, and I don't. It's just so hard because I want to be like an ally, and I want to not disregard like how bad it is that they just totally butchered Pocahontas' real story and how they, you know, made the colonizers look okay and all that. But all that aside, like, it really is a beautiful story, and we're just taking this at face value. The story, it's a fairy tale. I just, like, this whole rewatch, I was like, I just kept telling myself, like, it's a fairy tale. It's just a fairy tale.
Right.
Because it really is a fairy tale at this point. It is so bastardized from the original history.
I mean, it's not even accurate at all.
It's not even accurate at all.
Yeah.
I wish it happened like this.
Period.
Oh my God, I wish it happened like this.
Yeah.
And that's honestly what made me emotional a lot of the times when watching this. Just being like, oh my God, it could have been like this. Like, it could have been like this.
Yeah.
And greed and power got in the way, but
the greed and the exploitation of the earth, is something that I just don't think that pattern has not disappeared in our whatever hundreds of years. And
oh no.
It was very, like, striking to see a lot of that. But yes, I agree with everything you say. I don't know why they didn't just tell this story with a not a real attached to a historical person. I don't know why.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know. I think maybe because she just has a name. I'm assuming like Pocahontas is like a historical.
They took it as
figure,
like an inspo kind of, I guess.
Right, and they were like, well, people know Pocahontas. They're gonna want to you know, tell the story.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, there were a lot of things they got wrong in this film, but there were some. I mean, it's just a beautiful story at face value. So I think we should just dive in.
Let's dive right in, darling.
Let's just dive right in. So this movie
so hard to take
starts.
you seriously.
I know, girl. I keep looking at myself, and I get scared. It's scared.
Scary. It is scary.
It is scary.
It is really Star Wars. It's like B-list Star Wars.
Yeah, like fan made.
Yes.
It's giving that. I know, so I'm gonna try not to look at myself.
Okay, let's do this.
All right, we start not with a book. We start with the castle, classic 90s castle in the background, and it lights up. I miss that shit.
Already,
I love that
my
shit.
first note is I have chills just starting this. 92. This came out in 92. I was like, this is our era. Like, this is Disney Renaissance. This to me is.
I thought it was 95.
I thought it was did I get that wrong?
I don't know. Let me look it up. Pocahontas,
No, I'm looking too.
Disney. Because I thought Beauty and the Beast was 92.
Oh, yeah, it is 95. Why did I think it was that? Okay, here's
well, because I knew it was later on in the Renaissance. It was later on.
Little Mermaid
and
was
also
94 or Lion
89
King was 94. Okay.
Little Mermaid was 89. Little Mermaid was the first one. But did you know, like, just a little fun facty before we get into the film, they were making Pocahontas and The Lion King at the same time.
I did not know that.
They had their A team on Pocahontas. They, like, their best animators, best storytellers, best everything on Pocahontas, because they thought this was going to be the Oscar winner. They had just won an Oscar for Beauty and the Beast, and they were like, this is going to be our next one. It's going to be a huge story. And their B team was on Lion King. And so when Lion King came out, they gagged everyone because they were like, this was a huge success, huge blockbuster. And then when Pocahontas came out, it didn't do as well. So they were gagged. Not
to compare that Oscar quality level to making TikToks, but don't you ever feel like the ones you really try on that you're convinced you're like, this is going to pop off, does terrible.
Oh, yep.
The one that you shart out in 2 minutes on your toilet, literally. Millions of views.
Every fucking time.
You just can't.
Every time.
You can't predict this madness.
You cannot predict. I know it's almost comforting to know it happens in Hollywood.
In Hollywood, baby. Yeah, for sure.
In Hollywood. Anyway, we start with the castle lighting up. We also hear these drums, dun 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 dun, dun, and we're like in what's that song saying? They're in Gloria, in Virginia Company. Yeah, it's all the shipmen. They're all getting ready to get on the ship and fly. Hello, and boat, I guess, over to the Americas.
Mhm.
And we're introduced to some of the characters. We see Thomas saying goodbye to his wife and another man with a kid. And I was like, is that their third? I don't know. But I think that was his brother, so I'm fucked up. And then we see the other guys, the other sailors, and John Smith enters the scene. And they're like, oh my God, there's John Smith. We've heard stories about him. He's been to so many foreign lands. He's ready to, like, you know, take on this new adventure. Yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, and he comes in pretty hot with this kind of like ego. Like he's like, I've been to a million new worlds. Like, la, la, la. I do this for a living. I colonize people in their land for a living.
Yes.
So, I mean, John Smith is immediately, I don't like him. He's just not doing it for me. What are your thoughts as he's introduced?
Oh, I did not like him for the first probably 45 minutes of this film because it's a lot of jargon of like conquer, take power, take control. This is mine, not yours. I know better.
Yep.
Yeah, it was very much like shut up. And he's voiced by Mel Gibson, which is just another ick. I'm like, ew.
That makes sense.
Yeah, ew. And I also am gagged about the fact that he's the only character in the film that has like an American accent.
Oh yeah,
he should be British.
You're so right.
He should fully be
You're
British.
So right. And the other guys are like Scottish or whatever. Yeah,
they're literally going to the Americas for the first time, and he has a full American red-blooded accent.
Real.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely interesting. But yeah, they're all gung ho. Can't wait to conquer. Can't wait to take control. Governor Radcliffe enters the scene in his little carriage.
Yep.
What an aesthetic on that man. Can we talk about it?
I mean, this is why it really pisses me off when, like, alpha male podcasters are like, we used to be such manly men, and they were, like, he's in heels the whole fucking time, and basically gowns, and him with his
pigtails
fucking dog,
with bows on them.
Super manly.
A pimp hat.
Yeah.
I
recognized his voice also. Do you know by any chance who voices him?
Yeah, he voices a lot. He voices Jumba in Lilo and Stitch.
Lord.
He voices Cogsworth.
Yes, that's what I was picking up on.
Yes.
Beauty and the Beast. Got it.
Yeah. I think those are the big ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, he's what were your thoughts?
He's just ridiculous. Like such an unredeemable villain.
100%.
Like just so not
really until the very end too.
Oh yeah, he never has like I mean some villains
his chance for redemption. Everyone kind of has their little redemption,
right?
And he literally, exactly.
Yeah, just totally unredeemable. Totally just spitting like racist jargon all the time. And I get that's the character, but it's just like you don't like him. You just don't like him.
Totally. I will say too. Obviously, at the beginning, these men are saying fucking shocking things. Like they refer to the Indians as savages, whatever. That was actually one thing, this is going to sound weird when I say this, but I liked that they didn't shy away that that's literally how people saw people back then.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad they didn't make it Disney-fied and, like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, because it's fucking horrible the way they literally viewed these people as subhuman, whatever, and I'm glad that they literally said it and we didn't soften that. Like,
right.
You know, that needed to be done. And I got so excited. Every time the colonizers are on the screen, I literally start to check out. But the moment John Smith, I'm going to call him Jon Snow, I know it. He says, you know, blah, 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 I've conquered a million new worlds. What could be different about this one? And then it, like, fades into... Oh! I immediately started to cry.
I know.
It's going to be...
Oh, my God. It was gorgeous. It was like in The Wizard of Oz when Dorothy steps into Oz and it's like there's all color.
Yes.
Because the color palette on the boat and in London or whatever, it's so gray and dull and dismal.
Look at our backgrounds. Everything is purple and lush. And oh my God, you can tell the A-Team was on this.
The A-Team was on it. Yeah, I mean, it looks gorgina.
Songs by Alan Milken, so we knew that we were going to be fucked up the ass with how good they were.
Wait, also, I'm just like rewinding now. Like, did we say that they were... Because they're called the Virginia Company, but did we say they sailed from... I feel like we were like, they sailed from Virginia. I feel like I might have said that. They sailed from England. Let me just fix that.
They're not very educated, are we?
We're very educated. Yeah, I've made that mistake before on a TikTok when I like Yeah, I need to work on that. My geography was never good.
Honey, I barely know America, so you're fine.
But anyway, now we're actually in America, and it looks fucking stunning. There's this beautiful. It's like this
Sexy.
beautiful pink, like golden hour-y sunscape, and the trees are tall, and it's these shots of the indigenous people like shucking corn and like on the tending to the land, and it's like beautiful. It looks so happy. It looks so utopia, honestly.
I saw
So
this
utopia.
incredible TikTok too, because I know we're gonna get here when John Smith is explaining to Pocahontas, like, we're coming here to teach you how to do it right, and she's basically like, what do you mean right? And I saw this TikTok where this girl was like, you know, people have constantly been, she is black, and people are like, from Nigeria, I think it was, and people have always been like, oh, the people like in Nigeria living in mud huts, like, wow, that's so uncivilized. She's like, actually, that's like one of the most sustainable ways to live there. The mud huts keep you cool. It's not hurting the earth. Have you ever thought about what you're doing and how fucking unsustainable that is? And that TikTok just like kind of kept playing in the back of my mind as we're watching all this.
Oh.
Why are we, I mean, I don't even need to say why. We have been fed this narrative that like conquering and killing and is like the right and like, anyway, it's, you know, this, I don't know. Every time I watch this movie, I'm just like, this thread, this throughput, this line that's beneath it is so applicable still, now, all the time. And it makes me crazy that people are still not learning this lesson, but anyway.
Oh, I know. No, I think that's, I mean, I think we talked about this before we started recording, but like, we both cried so much during this. I cried so much during this film. Times. The time, like when this movie ended, I had this pit in my stomach feeling, and I think a lot of that came from me thinking like, because I know I do recognize that this is a fairy tale, but like wishing that this had been the way history went, and that we learned how to work with the land and not be greedy and take but also give back and be sustainable. And it's like so not that way, and we see I hate to get like political and gross on this like Disney podcast, but
like we knew that was gonna happen. I think we both acknowledged this movie was gonna be a little bit more and deeper and serious. Yeah. We'll still be goofy and silly.
But yeah, it's like we haven't learned our lesson, even though we see these stories told time and time again.
And they're so romanticized and they're so consumed so widely. But I feel like so often when it comes down to it, especially when like Pocahontas and John Smith are going against literally everyone, like people do not have the courage to do that. They don't. No. They love to watch it happen and romanticize it, but I just have seen, I feel like even with the pandemic and getting vaccinated and everything like this, I just feel like we really, you kind of see what people are made of sometimes during stuff like that, and it's disappointing. It's disappointing. Anyway.
It is.
We're 2 minutes
The landscape is gorgeous. I know, not even.
But that's okay. This is part of it.
Yeah. The landscape is gorgeous. We also get we see a shot of the chief arriving back. They had just won a battle against another tribe, and everyone's happy that he's back and celebrating. And you see like couples reuniting. It's really cute. And the chief goes up to the village elder. I totally forgot his name. And he's like,
"There's one smiling face missing."
Yeah, and Pocahontas is not there. I'm like, I know who's coming.
And we get that beautiful line where he's like, you know Pocahontas, she has her mother's spirit. And I was like,
yes.
I'm so into her. Like, I'm like, I'd be chasing her. Oh my God.
I know. And then we just get this beautiful shot of the sprawling waterfall, and we see a figure on top of the waterfall, and you just zoom in, and it's Pocahontas. And
I probably cried.
This gust of wind that goes through her hair.
Oh my God.
And it's just beautiful.
So beautiful.
It's just beautiful. And you're just like, every time she's on camera, I'm just like, I'm glued. I can't look away. She's just gorgeous.
She is magnetic. And I will say one thing too that I have always loved about this film and never really realized why is like, I feel like a lot of the time we get this narrative of like men showing women, like even with Aladdin, and I love Aladdin, but it's like Aladdin showing Jasmine the world, and like men showing women. It's always like the bad boy showing. This time it's a woman showing a man the world. And it's a woman who saves the man. Like, John Smith is totally the damsel in distress at the end. And I never really thought about that. And I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just, I've always loved her. And I've always, like, I didn't really put that together until this watch. And I fucking
That's very, I didn't even think about that, but you're so fucking right. My God. She's such a girl boss.
She decides to jump off a 90-foot cliff.
She does, because her friend Nakoma tells her to come down because her dad's home. So she's like, what I love about this is she starts running down with Flint and Miko, and then she like looks back, and then she's like, I'm a jump, and she like sprints.
My boner
and
is like so big at this point, throbbing.
Yeah, does an Olympic dive off and just perfectly lands in the water. No bones broken.
Now,
it was crazy.
And her voice is really hot.
I love her voice.
Yeah.
I know.
It's hot.
I know. But yeah, we get this like funny little shot of. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna skip over all the Miko and Flint scenes. There's so much.
Waiting for this.
There's so many like little gags with them, and like there's too many to count, and they're all, I guess, cute for like a children's audience. But like, I go brain dead every time.
I'm so worried about the hummingbird being stuck, drowning in the boat.
Yeah,
that's concerning. And at another point, he gets crushed by a cracker.
I know.
How do you feel?
And we're not talking about one of the colonizers. Okay. Knee slapper.
This is when the blinking light says laugh.
Yeah, laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Miko like dies off the waterfall, and like Flint goes after him. He like grabs like Flint and like tries to use him as a body shield. That was funny. I did think that was funny.
Honestly, some of it made me chuckle. But okay,
yeah, no, there were some funny ones. But Pocahontas tells Nakoma about this dream she's been having, and she doesn't know what it means, but she thinks it means something's coming. And then Nakoma's like, well, you should talk to your dad about it. So they're like, okay, they go back to the village and greet their dad. Great, not their dad, just Pocahontas' dad. And the chief is giving some speech about how Kocoum was the bravest soldier at the battle, and they'll be feasting in his honor tonight. And yeah, he's actually really hot.
Yeah. But I love how Pocahontas is like, I think her friend goes like, oh yeah, he's basically hot. And Poca goes, yeah, I especially love his smile. And I was like,
because he's so serious.
He's so serious. And to me, like, this dynamic of the friends, like, she is so air sign. Like, I don't know if anyone, I just think she's like literally air sign reincarnated, and then her friend is like an earth sign. It's that this match to me. Yeah. And it was so cute and entertaining.
I love their dynamic too. They were like friendship goals. They never strayed away from each other. Like, they were.
And even when the friend whose name I always forget, what is her name?
Nakoma
is like, basically, Pocahontas, don't leap. Pocahontas, of course, runs away, air sign vibes, and she still covers for her. That's friendship. Yeah,
that is friendship.
You don't know where your friend has gone or what they're doing, and you know it's probably not good, but you're still going to cover them.
I know. Nakoma ate that.
She did.
Anyway, Pocahontas goes up to her dad and greets him, and then she tells him about her dream and how something exciting is about to happen. He's like, oh my God, something exciting is about to happen. You're about to marry Kocoum. Did you know that? And she's like, wait, I don't want to marry him. Like, he's too serious. I'm not ready to settle down.
I have other shit going on.
Yeah, her dad gives her this speech about how eventually the mountain stream becomes the river.
Yep.
And how basically the metaphor is like, you can have fun in your youth and whatever, but eventually you need to calm down because that's a safe and dependable route.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Pocahontas hears this and she's like nodding, and then he goes away and she's like, actually, rivers are really crazy and wild.
I love her. And I love how also she's like, I'm just not sure that's my path. And the dad's like, nope, this is the path for you. It's like,
yeah,
it's giving boomer parents.
I know, but I will say, out of all the father figures in Disney films,
agree.
He's pretty good.
I agree, because he fucking at the end, which I sobbed when this happened. We'll get there, but like we'll get
there. Oh my, but yeah, he really redeems himself.
I absolutely agree. It's almost like just listen to your kids. I don't know, to the parents out there, it's almost like just listen.
Maybe just listen to your kids. Yeah, sometimes, unless they're like crazy. But yeah, she tells Miko and Flint. Actually, rivers are very wild and crazy, and I love rivers. And then we get the iconic song, Just Around the Riverbend, which is...
I look once more.
Oh, such a good song. Such a good metaphor, too. And the shot is beautiful because she's like going down the river in her canoe. And is
Her
canoe
skills
the
were
right word?
unreal, by the way.
Yeah, she was
like
eating
in
that river
white
up.
water rapids, and she's like, ha 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 ha.
Yes, and
People
it's so
died.
good. And my favorite part of the song, and this is when my first time I cried.
Tell us.
The music swells and she's going down this waterfall, and then all of a sudden, just around the river bend, and then it pauses, and then we arrive at like a river delta where the river goes off, and in one path is very calm and steady, and the other path is winding and wild. And she is like, "Do I choose a smooth course? Yeah. Do I choose a smooth course where I go with Cocoam, or do I do the wild path?" And it was just so beautiful. This is when I was like, oh my God, I'm about to cry right now.
I literally wrote, what kind of crack did they put in this movie?
I know. It's so good. But such a resonating like theme.
Yes.
I feel like
yes.
I definitely relate to that message.
Totally. Go on. No. Go on. Expand.
Well, just like, I think we all do. It's like, do you choose the route that is dependable, but you kind of sacrifice some happiness, or do you follow your heart and follow your dreams, even though you might, and it might end in failure?
It's always harder. It's always harder. And I feel like also they used to really do this really well in old Disney films, like kind of like the outcast who doesn't really know what they are supposed to do. It's always like a very like coming of age, like finding yourself underdog vibe. I just don't feel like they do it like they used to, like Hercules, like Pocahontas, Simba. It's all people all like they go through these and the stakes are always very high. They were so good at raising the stakes. And this movie has so many like layers and metaphors, and like it's so complex, and they say so much with saying so little. It's only an hour and 15 minutes. They don't force feed you. Like, you learn so much about Pocahontas, and she doesn't even, like, talk that much. You know what I'm saying? I feel like they force feed it a lot in a lot of movies now, too much.
Yeah, there's a lot of hoops people, like, I feel like they jump through, and I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I could do a TED Talk on modern Disney, but, like, I mean, this was just the era where there were no misses. I mean, there were some flops, but even the flops were masterpieces. It's crazy.
And honestly, I think one of the things is that this, like you said, is an adult story. I don't know why we can't tell adult stories to our kids. I don't know why we don't do that. It's okay to do it. You should. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think personally.
I know. Kids are smarter than they think. And I feel like that's such a lesson that we always learn, that kids really do know a lot, and their perspective is really important.
Don't shield them from the reality of the world, where there is hatred, there is death, there is cruelty, but it doesn't mean that those are the only things, you know? I feel like it's a disservice to shield children from that, but that's like a personal opinion. Anyway.
Just got another look at myself.
And it always brings us back to reality. She does arrive at Grandmother Willow, and Grandmother Willow, I have to say, is one of my favorite characters. When I first watched this in college, or at least watched it and remembered it a bit more, I just, like, fiend her. Like, she's basically comes to Grandmother Willow, and she's like, I wrote Grandmother Willow is a girl's girl for some reason. I don't know why I wrote that.
Okay, yeah. Well, she is because she was talking about how Pocahontas was complaining about her dad wants her to set her up with Coco, and she's like, and Grandmother was like, but he's so serious.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
She screams at all the woodland creatures, which made me think of you, because you would have been like, shut up! They all go quiet.
Vermin.
But it's like this quote where she says, like, Pocahontas is like, I don't know what to do, I keep having this dream, and then Grandmother Willow is like, all around you are spirits, child. They live in the earth, the water, the sky. If you listen, they will guide you. It gives me chills just to hear it, but like, this is one thing I fucking hate about white people, is like, I don't know why we took away this connection to the environment the way there is in like indigenous culture, even in like Buddhism, even in, like, you know what I mean? And it's something I've always like loved about this and this movie, and I don't know.
No, that's so true. I always tell myself, like, WWCMD, what would caveman do? And, like, because I feel like we are so... hear me out. hear me out. Because I feel like we're so disconnected from our instincts.
We are.
We have no instincts anymore as humans. We don't. Every animal has instincts except us.
I think
And
we do. You just have to, like you said, you have to like almost train yourself to listen more.
Yeah, and be like in touch with your surroundings and like what the fuck is going on? Because I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of time we're very clueless.
But I think we feel and know things more than we even acknowledge. It's the way you know someone's looking at you from behind. How?
Yeah.
How do you fucking know? Because we are more connected than we think. And like, I hate in white culture as well, this individualistic culture where it's like the grind and I gotta get myself and I feel like every other culture, especially in Eastern cultures, is like community and family. And you know, it fucking sucks and I hate it.
I know.
And I really try to actively like go against that in any way I can. But anyway, what were you gonna say?
Well, I do think like more people are becoming aware of that notion.
That's
I
true.
would hope to think like our generation and younger, you know, people are aware of the problematic history and how I think more environmentalism is becoming popular.
Mm-hmm.
I hope. But yeah, it is a very harrowing thing to think about because we really are so disconnected from nature.
Really?
But anyway, in this scene, important to note, this is where she tells Grandmother Willow about her dream, and her dream is this: she's running through the forest and she sees an arrow, and it's spinning in circles, and it stops and points in a direction, and she wakes up and she doesn't know what this means, and Grandmother Willow says it's pointing you in the direction of your path, and she says, I don't know what my path is. And Grandmother Willow tells her to like listen with her heart or whatever, and this causes her to like look through the trees, and she sees
the most beautiful scene.
The most beautiful scene. She's like, Grandmother Willow's like, what do you see? And she says, I see big clouds, and it turns out it's the sails of the ship arriving.
That part wasn't beautiful, but the part when the colonizers arrive is horrible. But the part before when it's like the wind and she's like listening to the spirit.
I knew that's what you were talking about.
I knew you did, but I felt I had to clarify because I literally wrote my next line says barf. And then I said, every time we cut away from Pocahontas, I'm miserable. I forget how much the other characters are part of this fucking film. I low-key want an edited version where they're not even in it.
Where she's just in it. I know. Because it's just... I know. I mean, the movie's called Pocahontas. I just want to see her. To be honest, I don't want to learn about Thomas and fucking Craig or whatever their names are.
Thomas and Craig. Yeah.
Whatever.
Exactly.
But anyway, we have this scene where we cut to Radcliffe back in his office, and he's talking to his like twink manservant Wiggins about how this is his like last chance to redeem himself, because back at home he's very unpopular. Everyone thinks he's a social climber and he's greedy. Yada yada. But I did love this one dialogue moment because Wiggins is like, what if we encounter natives? And Radcliffe is like, we'll give them the old like English welcome. He's like, gift baskets. And I was like, yes, unproblematic twink representation.
No, he was, and he had another fucking banger of a line later on. They were like, why are the natives acting so badly? And he was like, maybe it's because we came to their land, conquered it, cut down their trees, and dug up their soil. Like, he has this like throwaway, like, probably this. And Radcliffe's like, no. Yeah. And I was like, he's kind of an ally in a way.
I know. I was rooting for Wiggins, and I love that. I was thinking about dressing up as Wiggins, but I had no.
I know. This one again was really hard.
Yeah.
The colonizers have a scene.
Yeah, and it's not really that important. But basically, the moral of the story is like Radcliffe is motivated because he has like greed first of all, and he needs to like fix his name. And the men get off the ship, and they're all mesmerized by the beauty. And Thomas is like, someone like makes a comment about how beautiful it is, and Thomas is like, and it's all ours. I'm like, shut up!
I wrote that down too. I was like, ooh.
I was like, no, the fuck, it's not.
Yeah.
But Pocahontas, meanwhile, is looking at them in the brush, and like she's like, holy shit, what's going on? Who are these people? And John Smith sneaks up to the top of this hill and looks over, and this is where Pocahontas is, and they almost have an interaction, and like it was like, oh my god, are they gonna meet? But it's not here.
She like kind of pulls back from him, and like her hair falls in her face. I was like, they fucking knew what they were doing.
I know. The way they animate her
Please.
hair is just so gorgeous. I can't get over it.
I really can't
It's-
either.
I can't.
There is a scene where this is where John Smith also like gives a biscuit to the raccoon, and there's like a whole raccoon biscuit
Oh
scene.
yeah. The raccoon loved that biscuit.
But
That was
I
like a
kept thinking of
running
you, and I was
theme.
like, I wonder, is it better in this movie for him? Is it still just as bad? Because at one point, I kind of chuckled, like the raccoon eats the whole biscuit, and he sees there's like some crumbs, and he like licks his fingers, like he eats all the crumbs. Like
I'm not
he's
even
just
kidding.
like me for real.
Yeah, I'm
No,
not even
kidding.
kidding. Like I space out during those scenes. I don't recall. I like watch them like this. My eyes
Well, that's
crossed.
fair. I mean, obviously, I'm
Like-
like wanting to see Pocahontas, and John, they're like me
Yeah,
for
I
real.
don't
Like
know what it is.
it's not that. I get
It makes it seem like I'm an animal hater. I'm not. I really do love animals. I love
and
a
you
dog.
heard it here,
Like
folks. Brett hates animals, and he likes
I
animal
hate
torture.
animals. Anyway, this week's sponsor is PETA.
Sarah McLachlan's gonna come for you.
Yeah, no, I mean, no, Miko was cute. I mean, it's not my thing. The animal gags are not my thing.
Like
I just don't love
Percy's
physical
bath.
comedy.
That was another one that happens. Like he's in birth, the dog gets
Yeah.
just your face. You're like, yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm dressed up as one of the few animals in the film.
We can skip over it.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, we cut back to the village. The chief asks, Kakata, that's the name of the village elder.
Good for you.
About
Good
the
memory.
new, the new. Well, I wrote in my notes. I'm a good note taker. Okay.
Yeah, it's giving Hermione.
They're like having this little like meeting, and Kakata is like, he's like a village elder, but he's also like he has magic powers. Like he's like, I don't know. He's like I don't know. But they're standing around the fireplace, and the chief asks him about these new visitors and what they represent and whatever. And Kakata throws something in the fire, and in the
It
smoke,
was so beautiful.
it shows it's beautifully animated. Like it shows like the white men shooting, and how they shoot fire
Mhm.
and thunder out of their weapons, and they're very dangerous. And so this is when they are kind of like, oh shit, like we need to be weary around these guys. Yeah, we then cut back to the fucking colonizers again. I'm like, damn, I want more time with
No, there's
Pocahontas.
so much of them, and
Yeah.
I thought there was one line where I think it's John Smith. I'm gonna say Snow at some point, and he goes, "If there are any Indians out there, I'll find them." While she's fully watching him, and he has
Yeah.
no idea. I was like, period.
I know.
And
Good for
he starts
her.
singing about like how he's longed for a land like this, a land
Yeah,
he could
the
tame, a
mine
land
song.
he could claim, and then they sing about the gold, and I'm just like, "Ugh."
Yeah.
And also, like, these fuckers still exist. I wrote that. I'm like, this is an oil
Yes.
company. Like, spot the fucking difference. Like,
Yes.
it just.
I did love the double. Sorry to interrupt.
No,
Were you done?
no.
Oh, the double entendre of the name of the song called "Mine." How they're like
Oh,
mining for
yeah,
gold,
yeah,
but he's
yeah.
also saying it's mine.
It's mine.
I'm like,
I know.
fucking true. And I do love like how they are kind of villainizing this mindset. You know, like when you're watching this
Yes,
film, you're definitely on
agreed.
the side of the Native Americans.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think I've seen somewhere, someone needs to fact check me, but I believe they did a fuck ton of research on like indigenous tribes and
They did.
traditions for this movie. Like I feel like they were trying to make it authentic.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's never going to go well if you're not fully, this should have been produced by indigenous people if it's going to be,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But I think they were trying to do that.
They tried. I mean, yeah, they did. It was just like a problematic idea from the start. I think.
Absolutely agree. Yeah.
But yeah, y'all already know our thoughts on that. Anyway, we cut back to John Smith. I love this fucking scene.
Is this where they meet?
Yes, it's where they meet. So it's like this beautiful
Oh my
waterfall,
God.
this cascading
The
waterfall,
art
and it's like
is insane.
the art is insane. It's like smoky, kind of from not smoky, but it's like
Yep.
like
Mhm.
the misty.
And you can
Thank
see
you.
the shadows from the trees as she's like walking through. Oh,
Yes, and John Smith stops to drink some water, and in the reflection of the water, he sees
her.
her perched up on this like tree, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna like move out of the way, and Pocahontas goes down to like explore more and to like see him, and he is behind the waterfall loading his gun, and the music is swelling, and I like oh my god, I was getting chills, and he jumps out of the waterfall and he's prepared to shoot, and they have this
Mm.
oh God,
It's
I was crying again.
fucking
I
beautiful.
cried again, girl, because she just looks at him and she stands up very slowly, and the music, it's the instrumental of "If I Never Knew You," which is like
I didn't
one of my
know
favorite
that!
Disney songs. That they cut from this film, which we'll get into that. But she stands up very slowly, and the mist is going, and her hair is like in front of her face, and she just looks so stoic and beautiful. And it cuts back to John Smith, and he has this look of like almost horror on his face of like what he was about to do.
Yeah.
And he puts down his gun,
Mhm.
and I thought that was such a poignant moment too,
I
like reflecting
agree.
on men and like the colonizers about like how if you see something that you don't recognize or that you're scared of, you react with violence just initially.
Absolutely. That's the immediate, yep.
And I think that was like a moment where John Smith realized like I was about to kill this beautiful human, and they just look at each other like humans for a moment. It was such a gorgeous moment. I had to rewind it a couple times because like this was just, it was beautiful.
I agree.
God,
I
it was
want to
gorgeous.
cry just thinking about it. I agree.
But yeah, this is when he kind of gets in the water and he goes over to like greet her or whatever, and she runs away and she goes to her canoe and she's gonna like boat off, and he tries to talk to her, but they can't understand each other because of the language difference.
I love how he's speaking full English as if she fucking knows English. I was like,
understand.
right, okay.
Well, but she does.
Well, okay, I also I wanted to ask you how we feel about the wind just teaching her English.
I don't know how else they would have progressed this plot.
I know.
If they didn't make it. That's why I'm like, it is a fairy tale. I had to keep
right.
I give all these other movies the benefit of the doubt with a fairy tale thing. I'm like, it's a fairy tale.
Yeah.
Because if I think it's historical fact, I'm gonna like look at it from a whole new lens. And
yeah. I hear you. And I don't like John Smith, and I realized finally why. Like if John Smith had never met Pocahontas, he is nothing. He's nothing.
Yeah.
He is only great because he meets her, and I think that's why I don't give a shit about him, because I'm like, you're nothing without her. You're nothing.
Yeah.
But I will say, when they grab hands for the first time and like the wind I got chills. I was like,
I get chills.
Also, she's so tall. She stands up and she's like almost at his height.
Oh,
I'm like,
which I love.
Same.
Yeah, they
It's
grab hands and the
hot.
wind goes around them, and this magic wind basically teaches her how to speak English so they can communicate.
I'm not sure how I feel about that plot point, but yes.
I know. It's a fairy tale.
Yeah.
Fairy tale.
Yep.
Yeah,
Right.
no. It's like, it's just, it is what it is. But we cut back to the camp. The men are mining, and there's this little ambush scene where Kocoum and some men try to attack them, and one of the men shoots one of Kocoum's men. And this is when they kind of realize, like, whoa, these weapons are dangerous. They take that man back to the camp.
Kocoum picks him up like he is a leaf. I was like, Kocoum was hot for this.
Kocoum was hot for that. Yeah. But they take him back to the camp, and the chief is like, holy shit, like, we cannot heal this guy. Like, this wound is too big. These men are very dangerous. Just reiterating the point, like, these guys are powerful.
And he's like, no one go near them. And then we cut to Pocahontas with John Smith.
Yes, which
I love how we always do those cuts. They'll say something and then it's always her doing the opposite.
I know, but I love it.
I love it. I love it. I loved it too.
But this scene is so cute of them. It's them basically just teaching each other about their culture. John Smith teaches her how to shake a hand.
Shit. He's like, you guys have weird names here. But Pocahontas has the best reply. She's like, you have a weird name, bitch.
Yeah, John Smith is weird. Yeah. But yeah, this scene was so infuriating, but I was so gagged by Pocahontas' response to it all. Like you said, like he is basically talking about in London, they have streets and roads and buildings. And Pocahontas makes like an offhand comment like, oh, I'd like to see that. And John Smith is like, well, we're going to do that here.
He's like, we're going to teach you how to use this land properly and build decent houses.
Yeah. And she's like, our houses are fine. And he's like,
yeah, I
no,
love how pissed she is.
Yeah. And he's like, you think they're fine because you just don't know any better.
Ooh,
and then she stops. And she's like, she's like, okay, I'm out of here.
Classic air sign. She says, bye.
Yeah. And I was like, and he just keeps like shitting out of his mouth. He's just like, you just don't know because you're uncivilized. And she's like, and you are savages. And she's like, I'm a savage. And she's
like, not you. She goes, just my
you.
people. Oh, yeah, that's better.
I know. And like definitely relating on not like totally her perspective, but like as like being in a marginalized group, like I've had this conversation so many times where it's like someone will be like, "Oh, gay people are gross," but not you, you're
Someone
different.
has said that to you?
Well, it's just like when you talk to straight guys and be like, "Oh, like gay people, like some gay people are so fruity or they're so out there, they're so weird," but not you, you're normal.
You know
like,
what?
I've had that
It's like
conversation
men do
so
that to
many
women
times.
too. Men are always
Right.
like, girls are crazy,
Men are-
but not you. Not
Right.
you. You're
Girls
like,
are stupid.
actually, I am fucking, and I am like every other girl. Shut up.
Yeah, and like what I love what Pocahontas fought back,
Me
and she
too.
like, but those are my people.
Yeah.
So like, and I'm one of them.
Oh.
But I love that they included this conversation. They
Me
made
too.
him look like an idiot because he did look like an idiot.
Completely agree.
And
this is all
and
queuing us up.
Queuing us up because like John Smith makes a comment about Pocahontas says,
What you mean
like,
is not like you.
yes, thank you. She's like, we're not bad, we're just different.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is when she goes into Colors of the Wind. Oh,
only people who are people.
and I would argue like probably the most beautifully animated song, at least top 5 in Disney history.
I will, that one scene where she says, "Come run the hidden pine trails of the forest," where those sunbeams and the stars and the jumping and when they're like standing and it cuts to the birds fade into them and they're lying in the circle and her hair is like, oh my god.
Yes, they were on it. The A-team, they ate it up. The what kills me is the part where it's like it almost looks like watercolor or like pastels where like,
yes,
do you know what I'm
paint
talking
with all
about?
the colors of the wind, and she is like, oh my,
mesmerizing.
I want to cry.
And then I cried again. I
think I did too.
But the song ends like with them holding hands and like the tension is strong. Like this is where like John Smith realizes like, oh, I was wrong.
And the message in this song, I think we've all sung it and heard it so many times that if you really listen, it's like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
It's true.
And it applies to so many things. The fear of things that are different. Like literally take 1 second to like maybe question what you think. Maybe, you know, I don't know. It's just like, and again, too, the connection to everyone, the connection to each other. We are all connected to each other. Like, I just fully believe that, too. And I don't know. It's just like chills.
I know.
Fucking good. It's so good. And I wrote,
I could
write an academic paper on this song alone. So I also wrote after this, I was like, okay, I'm ready for it to be done now. I'm like, okay, it's so happy.
Yeah, and this is how the movie ends. Yeah.
But no,
it's
we've
so
got a lot more
gorgeous. I honestly like re-listening to this song. I'm like, it climbed the charts. I'm like, this maybe would be in my top 5.
Yeah,
at least top 10.
It's
so
in my
good.
top 10 for sure.
And oh my god, one of my mutuals on TikTok, her name's Jada. She did a cover of this song.
She's so good.
So maybe I'll post it on the Patreon. It is like the best cover of this song I have ever heard. Her voice is incredible. It's so fucking good. But yeah, I'll put it in the Patreon.
I would love to watch that.
It's such a beautiful song. Yeah, anyway, the song ends and Pocahontas hears the drums and she's like, "Oh, those are like war drums. I need to go back to." And they're like, "When can I see you again?" And they just, I forgot what they say, but like they plan on meeting at another time. Or maybe she just doesn't say anything, and I think they just leave each other. Because the next time they see each other, it's by surprise.
Doesn't he say like, "Meet me here tonight" or something? Or
that was later. That's later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't remember.
But yeah. Anyway, we cut back, and it's a couple days later. John Smith is back with the men,
and he's
acting
like all
mining.
Weird.
He's acting all weird and pensive, and Thomas notices, and he's like, why are you acting so weird?" And one of the men is like, well, he's just mad because he missed out on the fight with one of the savages. And like John Smith makes a face. You can just tell he's changed. Like like the interaction with Pocahontas changed his perspective on everything and what they're doing.
Did you think he was cute as a kid?
No.
Yeah.
No.
I agree.
I'm not attracted to him.
He just doesn't do it.
Yeah, he does redeem himself, which I like.
Yeah.
I respect that as a character, but yeah, no, I never like was crushing on him.
Yeah. I'm curious if anyone.
I don't.
There must be someone.
Love the blondes. Someone.
Not the face.
Someone does. Someone with interesting choices in men. Yeah. But yeah, Then we have the scene with Radcliffe, and he's in his tent. He's mad because they're not finding any gold.
Why do you think those heathens attacked us? Because we invaded
Yeah.
their land and cut down their trees and dug up their earth?
Yeah.
The cackle? I admitted. I wrote it down.
I know. Wiggins
Slay.
is self-aware.
Wiggins slayed.
Yeah. But Radcliffe has this idea where it sparks where he's like, oh, I need to be talking to the natives here and figuring out where the gold is because they're not finding it on their own. Then we cut back to the village, and it's Nakoma and Pocahontas picking corn.
Yep.
And the chief arrives. I love this little conversation. The
Me
chief
too.
arrives.
They talk about her mom.
They talk about her mom and how basically she looks like her mom when she's wearing that necklace.
She's
and
like, I miss her.
Yeah. And the dad is like, whenever you feel the gust of wind, just know that she's watching over you.
Yeah.
It was such a beautiful
It was
thing.
beautiful.
So beautiful. And it makes me want to, like, I was like, what was Pocahontas' mom like? Like, what happened to her?
Yeah.
Why did she have to be dead?
Backstory. I know. There's always a tragic death of these characters. Always.
Just a missing parent.
And then basically, when obviously in Earth Sign Bestie fashion, Nakoma's like, girl, what the hell is going on? I know you're lying about something. And basically, does she tell her?
No, John Smith
shows
out of the
up.
corn.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
He's like, hey,
She's
here
like,
I am. I wanted to see you again.
Right, and she's covering her mouth.
Yeah. And she's like, you cannot be here because they hear Cocoam coming, and they run off into the corn. And Pocahontas and John are reunited, and they go sit by Grandmother Willow.
Yeah.
And he tells Pocahontas that they're here to collect gold, and Pocahontas is like, what's gold? And he's like, well, it's yellow.
Lots of it.
Yeah. He's like, it's yellow and it grows out of the ground. And she's like, oh, we have that.
But
it's
isn't
corn.
that so
He's
beautiful?
Like, oh,
she's like, this is gold
precious.
of the earth.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I love that too.
I love that double meaning.
Just reiterating, like, I don't know. We need to reassess our values here. But basically Pocahontas is like, we do not have gold here. I don't know what that is. And then this dialogue killed me. It like made my stomach turn. He said, a lot of men are going to go home when they realize there's not gold here. And Pocahontas is like, does that mean you're going to go home? And he's like, well, I don't really belong. I don't have a home. I don't really belong anywhere. And she's like, well, you could belong here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I started crying again. I was like, I can't.
So
like,
cute.
I just love nothing. There's no movie trope. This is why I love this movie so much, because there's no movie trope that I love more than like a forbidden love story.
Oh,
like,
is that your thing?
It gets me every time.
Really?
And
you gotta watch Lion King too, honey.
Really?
Oh.
Maybe I should. Yeah.
We're adding that to the list.
Yeah.
We have to.
But it is just, all their dialogue just hits me. It felt like a punch to the gut every time.
Yeah.
Especially knowing how this movie ends.
Yeah, that is an interesting thing I want to talk about, because that is not normal Disney.
No.
Are you ripping it off? Should I take off my
have
head?
to. No, I can't do it with my hair. It looks so crazy. I can't. I feel like I'm sweating. Honestly, talking about their love story made me start sweating. God.
And basically they then start having this conversation with Grandmother Willow, which is amazing too, because again, Pocahontas is showing him a whole new way of life. But I loved when he leans to her and he's like, Pocahontas, that tree is talking to me. And her fucking reply is, then you should talk back. I was like,
yeah.
I love her. I literally would be putty in her hand. Like, I love her.
I know. She's so good. She makes me wish I was attracted to women.
That's fair. I gotta.
I know. Because, like, I mean, there's so many things that make me wish I was attracted to women, but
but you can't help who you love,
Smith
people.
Sucks. I know. But anyway, they're talking, and two of the men arrive looking for John Smith, and when Grandmother Willow kind of kicks their ass, which I love. She like tripped them and like whipped their asses with her
that was
vines.
badass. There's also one line I don't know. I laughed so hard at this. It was so stupid. Grandmother Willow makes a bad joke. She says, my bark is worse than my bite, and it cuts to these two owls, and they look at each other and they're like.
Wait, how did I miss that? I'm telling you, my eyes cross when the animals come on screen.
You were probably sobbing. You couldn't see between.
Funny.
It was fucking funny. Like the owls were roasting her for the bad joke. It sent me.
That's so funny. No, I missed that. But yeah, Grandmother Willow's funny. I love that. I love her. I understand why you dress up like her.
I love her.
But anyway. John Smith is like, he realizes because the men are looking for him, like, oh, I have to go back to the camp. This one, Pocahontas is like, when can I see you again? And he's like, meet me here tonight.
Got you. And he like kind of
meet me here.
touches her face and her hair, and I'm like, okay, that's gonna be
So
cute.
yeah. And I this moment where she leaves, or where he leaves, and Pocahontas talking to Grandmother Willow, and she's just like, "What am I doing? Like, what am I doing?"
Yeah.
And she talks about her vision again, and she's like, "I think my vision was about him. I just feel like my vision was about him, but they're not sure yet." Then Pocahontas goes back to camp, and she sees that the ally tribes are arriving because the
We're
chief
starting to
realized
really get the build up here.
the war is starting. Like, people are getting scared. And Pocahontas goes and talks to her dad, and she's like, we don't need to be fighting. And how, like, this is not the way to solve the conflict. And he's like, there's nothing we can do now. And then Pocahontas is like, well, if you could talk to one of them, do you think you would change your mind? He's like, maybe I would, but there's just no opportunity for that.
And meanwhile, John Smith's kind of doing the same thing. Like, the men
Yeah.
are trying to rally, and he's like, but this is their land. And they're like, okay, like, we don't care. And so you can just feel the stakes raising one after the other. And they meet up again, right? And then Grandmother Willow talks about the ripples. And she's like, look at these ripples. See how they start small, they grow big. Someone has to start them. And she does this whole speech about basically, like, sometimes the right path is not the easiest one. And, like, this is, like, I guess it's supposed to be, it's cliche, but, like, it just hits so hard, and it's just so true. And I feel like people really are afraid to do what's right a lot of the time. And
right. I love that. I love that you brought that up too, because I feel that is such a good message. How, like, all these huge changes just start with an action and a brave action, and how it's not always
going completely against what has been agreed upon by, like, society. Both of them are doing that in this case. Is they are literally going against what everyone in their community is saying.
Yeah. And so, because they're both, like, deciding, like, what should we do, because they see the tensions are rising, and Grandmother Willow gives them this lesson, and John Smith is like, okay, I'm going to talk to your dad.
Yep.
And in this moment, they just are so in love, and they kiss for the first time.
Do.
And in the bushes is Kocoum.
Yeah.
He sees them kissing because Nakoma kind of snitched on Pocahontas.
And Thomas is also watching. So, like,
Thomas is also watching.
Stakes.
Yes. The scene and the music is so, like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's like they're kissing and it's romantic, but it's also like there's like a sharp violin sound, so it's like there's tension. Like something's about to happen.
Yeah.
And so Kocoum sees them kissing, and he gets all angry, and he charges at John Smith and tries to basically kill him.
Yep.
And he has, like, his knife to his head, and he's, like, trying to do it, and Thomas comes out of the brush and shoots Kocoum and kills him.
Yep.
And oh my god, this whole scene feels so slow. Like, it feels like everything slowed down.
Yeah.
And Kocoum, like, reaches out and grabs Pocahontas' necklace, and it shatters.
Oh my god, it's so metaphoric and, like, intense. And again, I feel like this is something that we're missing now too in stuff for kids. Like, they don't show death. They don't show a lot of the time, like, you know, the stakes are not as high. The stakes are so high in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just so intense. I remember, what did I type? Oh, I said this shit is deep for a Disney movie. I think, like, especially compared to the movies we watched in this rewatch podcast cycle.
Yes.
This shit is deep, and this is, like, very adult. So I can't wait for Hunchback of Notre Dame.
I've never seen it. I'm so excited.
If you think this shit's deep, like that, it's so that
I
that's
just have
another
no
level.
idea what that's even about.
Oh my god,
I'm so excited.
I can't wait to watch it. But anyway, Thomas runs away because Pocahontas is, like, about to kill him. She's like, I can't believe you killed him.
Yeah.
But the native men arrive.
Gets captured, right?
And they capture John Smith because they think he killed Kocoum. And we just cut back to the village, and the men have brought John Smith to the chief, and the chief is like, we need to kill this man. Like, he killed Kocoum. He's going to be the first to die, and he's dying in the morning.
Yep. And he says, because of your foolishness, Kocoum is dead to Pocahontas. And I think she believes him in that moment. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And there's this scene where they all walk away, and Pocahontas just sitting there by herself, feeling so guilty. Nakoma comes up to her, and I thought Pocahontas was going to get mad at Nakoma for snitching on her, but Pocahontas just takes she's like, no, it's my responsibility. That was all me. And I was like, bestie goals. Like, look at them.
I love them.
Pocahontas.
Love them. I love her so much. And then she basically, Nakoma's like, okay, well, you got to go talk to him one last time. Again, bestie goals. And they're like, oh, she wants to look upon the eyes of the man who killed Coquam. And so they let her in and they have this like final moment. And John Smith basically says like, I bet you were just dying at this. She's like, honestly,
dying.
like, maybe we should have never met because then none of this would have ever happened. And he was like, I would have rather met you and die tomorrow than basically I've never met you at all.
Oh, no, like this scene it killed me. And this is the scene where If I Never Knew You was supposed to play. Which I will.
Chills.
Yeah, I sent you the video. I should post it on the Patreon too.
You should.
But it's all animated because in the 2005 edition, they actually like animated the scene and they put it in.
Oh.
So this scene is fully animated in the film, and it's just them like singing to each other. And like what kills me about the scene too, the dialogue, is because John Smith is like, I actually really liked him in the scene because he was trying so hard to like keep it lighthearted and make jokes.
Yeah.
Even though like they both knew he was gonna die.
I've got out of worse scraps before. Can't think of any at the moment, but
and that to me is almost more heartbreaking than if he was sad because he just loves her so much
to, like,
and doesn't want to see her sad. Yeah, and that line, I'd rather live 100 years. I'd rather die tomorrow than live 100 years not knowing you. Oh my God! Could you imagine if someone said that to you? I would be on my knees.
And he also says, no matter what happens to me, I'll always be with you. And then basically it's like so fucking heartbreaking. And then we cut back to the colonizers and we get the savages number.
Yeah.
So
which we love.
A little bit of a stark change.
Yeah. I mean, and the song is really, at first I was like, God, this is fucking bad. But I think I was viewing it from the lens of old Disney where I was like very not self-aware.
Exactly. I was glad that they, again, are leaning into the reality of this where people were that hateful towards these people. I'm glad they didn't shield away from that.
Yeah, and it's basically like there's a scene where Radcliffe is talking about how they're evil, and it is very self-aware. The one line that I picked out that I thought was like, okay, they know what they're doing. They said they're different from us, which means they must be evil.
Yep, I wrote that down too. That literal line.
So it's like it is self-aware, and then we cut to the natives, and they're also singing about talking about how like the white men demons, are evil and demons, and it's basically just this whole buildup of tension, and they're both preparing for war. There's this beautiful shot of the smoke, the the smoke from like the white men and then the indigenous folks.
Yes, comes together. Oh my God, it was amazing.
Such a cool shot.
And then to add even more fucking stakes, Pocahontas is like having a meltdown again. She's with my queen grandmother Willow, and this is where we figure out that the fucking spinning arrow was John Smith's compass. Are you kidding me? They don't make movies like this anymore. Are you serious?
It gagged me because the whole time I was like, where's this vision thing going? And I totally forgot it was his fucking arrow!
And then it's all like the earth and the wind, and it points her. They're like, that's your path, and it's towards him to go and fucking save him because he's about to be executed. Basically, the sun starts to rise. She's like, there's still time. And the cup, like, and she runs to go and save his life.
Gagged.
You know your path, child. Now follow it. I was also going to ask you, I don't know if you have on the top of your hand, off the top of your head, but have you ever had a moment in your life where like something struck you like that and you just like knew something was true? Like you knew it was like meant something, or you knew what you needed to do, or like, have you ever had something like that?
No, not that I'm sure I have maybe, but nothing's coming to mind. Wait, why do you?
I have. I feel like I have had moments like that where like there's been a sign or like someone has passed and something's happened and I've just been like, oh my God, that was that.
Oh, actually, you know what? I do have that moment. I just remembered. After I graduated, I moved back home with my parents and was working at Trader Joe's. And this whole time, like the whole time I was there, I was fantasizing about like just moving to California. Like I was like, I just feel like in California, things are gonna be better and whatever.
Like this. Yep.
And I was so unsure. And this is when I'm not like I was not a very religious person at this point or spiritual at this point, but I started learning about manifesting and like just putting energy out there and whatever. And I remember I was like asking the universe or whatever. I was like, I need a sign that like that this is the right move for me, like that I need to be going here and this is where I need to be. And I was driving to my friend Gianna's house, and just like totally pensive, just totally thinking about it. And I drive past this church, and on the sign it says, "If you need
This
a
is exactly
sign,
what I'm talking
this
about.
is it."
Oh, there you go.
I was like, okay.
And it was a church too.
Yeah, and I was like, and I'm not even like religious like that, but I was like, holy shit. Okay. Then that was when I like, okay, I need to figure out how to get to California, and then I did, and now here I am, and now I'm doing a Disney podcast.
Period.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that was.
good.
I totally forgot about that. Damn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but no, it's like a moment where you're like, oh, where you're like,
You
okay,
just
there's-
like know.
you just know.
And I
Yeah.
feel like obviously that's what's happening to her with this compass. I had like a similar one where right before I moved to California also, I was like getting out of this friend group that was like there were a lot of like involved, and I had like ended things with this guy that I was like so in love with because something really shitty happened, and I was like so depressed living at my parents' house, and I like discovered Hamilton. And say what you will about Hamilton, like that musical like really like hit me at that time. And I remember I was on a walk listening to one of my favorite songs, and I like something I love Peter Pan, I love like stars, whatever, and I like turned around and there was this huge shooting star right as the music built in one of my favorite songs, and it just like crested across the sky, and I was like,
whoa.
I just knew in that moment, I was like, this has been so fucking shit and awful, but I'm gonna get back on, and I'm gonna go, and it's gonna be okay. Like, it's time to go after those dreams. And then moved to California 4 months later, and here we are making a Disney podcast.
I love
Sometimes
moments
it just
like that.
happens. Me too.
I mean, I feel like you can get so cynical with the world and just think people are evil and bad, and then moments like that happen where you just
it's magic.
Like,
it's
there's
real
so
life
much
magic.
more. Yeah, there's so much more than we understand.
I agree.
Be it whatever you believe in, or just the beauty of nature, or whatever. There's so much more than we can just see with our human eyes.
Yep.
That was so. Oh, that's so cool.
I'm glad we had that chat. Okay.
Yeah, I'm glad we had that chat.
Anyway, I know we're close to done and this has been long, but basically, so she has
Tension
that moment.
is high.
Tension is high. She is sprinting against time to beat him at the sunset. And basically, it's this huge buildup, and we can see like her dad is like raising the weapon. He's about to kill John Smith. And she fucking, because she's so brave and incredible, she throws her whole body on top of him. And it is like this pure like moment of humanity. And she's like, if you're going to kill him, then you better fucking kill me too. And this is when I lost it, because I'm literally going to cry just talking about it. He's like going to kill him. And then the wind blows. I'm literally crying.
I know. This knocked me on my ass.
The wind? Are you serious?
The wind blows, and you just see him like close his eyes and like.
Because you know it's his wife. It's his wife.
And he, oh God, and he's like, my daughter speaks with wisdom beyond her years. This conflict is not the way to go. If there's going to be fighting, it's not going to start with me. Oh, and like they're like, release John Smith.
Serious?
It is just like so beautiful. Like. It is literally
my God, I just realized we weren't recording any of that. But that's okay. We're recording on here. Sorry, Patreon, we lost. Just listen. I'll add the audio. We'll add the Spotify audio. All you missed was us crying.
Oh my God. But
so sorry,
it is because it was just like, as we were saying, it was like tension. It builds up to this moment and everything just gets quiet. And oh my God, it is so cinematic, so beautiful. And this is basically where the Chief's like, we're not fighting. Like, this is not what we're doing. And fucking Radcliffe is like, well I want to fight.
Because John Smith's men essentially, like, they're like, you know what? If he's not going to fight, I'm not going to either. She just saved his life. And exactly like you said, Radcliffe in the most irredeemable way. And I feel like this is real. There are some, this sounds terrible, but I feel like there are some people that you cannot reach. And he is one of those people. Yeah. And it really comes full circle because in the beginning he's like, I feel like the men really trust John Smith. Like, that's the key to getting all these men to work for me. And when he goes to shoot the chief again, John Smith jumps in front of the fucking bullet and he ends up shooting the guy that everyone likes the most.
Yeah.
And this is when all the men essentially turn on Radcliffe.
Yeah.
And I love when villains get justice like this, where it's like their own people turn on them.
Yeah. Because it's like, it's karma. I mean, because something about like death, like Gaston's death, he just fucking dies. I wish there was a moment where people like realized he wasn't actually the shit. You know? And,
right.
And I you're so right, because he kind of gets what he deserved. But yeah, this is kind of, oh God, like this is just, my heart was breaking for the rest of the fucking film, because John Smith is injured. He gets shot like in the side of his body.
Fully gets shot. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fully gets shot. And they're like, we need to take him back to London where he can be healed properly, because he's not going to be saved here. And
they're basically like about to take him, and he's like, wait, don't go yet. Like, she said she'll be here. And she has this, like, she comes out of the mist, and so does everyone else. And they've brought like all this food and gifts, and like the animals fixed her necklace, and her dad. Basically, like, we have this moment where we're like, is Pocahontas going to go with him or not? And again, the dad is so redeemable in this, because he's like, he lets her decide. He's like, only you can decide your path. I was like, let's go.
And I love this too, because like, you have to imagine watching this for the first time in theaters, like, because you do, like, in history, Pocahontas does go to the Americas.
Right.
And she's like, and you're like, holy shit, is she going to go with him? Like, they're like, and you like, think she
Disney,
is.
Typical Disney ending, she probably would have.
Oh, she would. Yeah.
Yeah.
And because that's how all Disney movies have ended to this point, in True Love. And like,
with the perfect bow.
I have chills right now just thinking about it. And she's like, I'm needed here. I can't leave. And so they take him away. They put him on the boat. And this scene kills me every time, because they set sail. And the music just swells. It's the most beautifully orchestrated moment in a movie.
She is mess.
Oh my God. She just like sees the boat going away, and she just panics, and she starts running. Like, she's running alongside the ship. It's this beautiful shot of like the trees and the big billowing sails behind her, and she's just running. And it ends with her just coming to this mountain point.
And he does it first. He does the action to say goodbye in her language.
Yes. They, because she's like looking out to the ship, and she like sends a gust of wind, and it makes the sails go faster. And the boat goes, and he looks up and he sees her, and he does the like Wingapo wave, and she does it back to him. And that's how the fucking movie ends. Oh my God.
My last note is just, all in caps, I am sobbing.
I wrote, I'm a wreck. I'm a fucking wreck. That's what I wrote.
And it made me realize we really have not seen, like, I think Peter Pan, I have a special connection with, but of all the movies, none of them have hit me like this. Like,
no.
God damn.
I was like, there are certain movies where you watch and you feel like you have been literally punched in the stomach. Like, my heart is breaking, and there's nothing. I have so much energy. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to talk about it. Like, I just feel like a mess right now. And that's exactly how I felt after this. I did not think I was going to be feeling this emotionally. I did not think I was going to have this reaction, but holy fucking shit, forgot how good this movie is.
Unbelievable. Mm-hmm.
It killed me. And it's funny though, because after this, because I was just feeling so like, I need to talk about this with someone, and I can't wait for the podcast. Like, I need to talk about it now. And I was looking at YouTube reviews of like this film. A lot of people shit on it.
Really?
A lot of people shit on it.
What are their critiques other than like the obvious, like,
this one that actually pissed me off? This guy was like, it's just boring. It's boring. He was like, it's boring, and he says the sequel's actually better. Which the sequel is terrible.
I've never seen it, and I've heard terrible things.
I've heard it's because it's like she goes to America. It's like, it's too much. Yeah. But he was like, the sequel does a better job of this, and like, it's just boring and not well done.
He's just frankly wrong.
And I think honestly, like, I think maybe because it's a mature plot, maybe people think it's boring.
What?
But
in what point were we bored? When was I bored?
I don't know.
And we are like almost like, are you Gen Z? We're like Gen Zennials.
Yeah,
we're like really on the cusp.
millennial.
So we have short attention spans, and I was not bored for one fucking second.
I know. Oh God, it was just so fucking good. I mean, I forgot how good this movie is.
It's unfucking
and
believable.
I like again, and I want to give this movie its flowers, and also like totally note like it is problematic how they reframe the story and everything, but holy shit,
agreed.
It was so good. Like, I mean, what are you gonna rank it?
This is impossible because, like, to me, I'm taking this off now, finally.
Yeah.
I'll keep my leaves here. This is not rankable amongst, like, 10 of these. Like, I can't even... Honestly, okay, let me think about this. Like, I almost want to say a 10. I was
like, I think it loses points for just everything we said, but
I do.
I was like a 9.5.
9.5.
So good.
9.5. Yeah.
So good. Just so fucking good. I was enthralled, and like I said, I'm a sucker for a forbidden love story. I'm a sucker for a movie that doesn't have like a happy ending that isn't tied up with a bow. It killed me. It was like all the elements were just there. It was so, oh my God,
incredible.
For me to cry during a movie once is a lot. For me to cry,
really? You're not a movie crier.
I mean, it depends on the type of thing going on. It has to be like a certain type of emotion that invokes. Like if something's like too sad, it doesn't make me cry. Like when Coco died, it was sad, but it didn't make me cry. It has to be like almost like heartbreaking or like beautiful. Like beautiful.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And I cried like 4 times during this movie.
I literally cried multiple times too. I agree.
Like that's crazy. I was not expecting that.
So the other thing that you always ask, and I feel like we already know, but who's your favorite character?
Pocahontas.
Yeah, fucking same. Like it's just, and I know you've said before you don't love to choose. There is no other fucking right answer in this. There's no other answer.
Yeah, I mean, she is just so good, so kind-hearted. Like doesn't have a bad quality about her. Everything she did was justified.
She's so brave too, in this like stoic, know myself way.
Yeah,
and I also like. Yeah, like she just, I don't even know. She has like a beautiful spirit. I don't know.
I know. And also like, I feel like in this era of Disney heroines and especially princesses, like people do shit on them for like a little bit.
So much shit every time I pick Pocahontas as like one of my favorite princesses. People always think, you picked her over Moana, you picked her over like.
There's literally nothing bad about her. There's nothing bad about her. She did everything right.
Are we in an echo chamber right now?
Yeah.
Or are we just right?
I think we're just right. I think we're just right, Lex. But yeah, I mean, I loved her. I mean, I really, really enjoyed this movie. And I'm still thinking about it. And I feel like I need to rewatch it. I
love taking like a year off from this movie and rewatching it and being like almost like re-shocked at how amazing it is.
And I think maybe, I don't know if it was ahead of its time or what, but like for it to kind of flop or not do as expected is shocking to me.
Did it not do that well? I thought it's like a household name, right?
No, I mean it is a household name, like it's iconic now, but like at the time it didn't make a lot of money.
So interesting.
Let me look.
Huh. If I never knew.
And they should have kept that in the fucking movie. Oh God.
Also, you guys, if you're not on our Patreon, Brett and I did a little video on who our favorite Disney princesses are, and we don't discuss prior to making these videos. And both of us, Pocahontas was in our top 5, wasn't she?
Mm-hmm.
I think she was my number 3 pick. Was she your number 3 as well?
She was my second.
She was number 2.
Yeah.
And then we also both had Ariel. That was our only overlap, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Catch this. Pocahontas received generally mixed reviews from film critics. The review aggregation website Rotten Tomatoes reports 54% of critics gave the film a positive.
That's it?
With an average score of a 6 out of 10. Damn.
No fucking way. Okay, now I feel like I'm crazy. Like,
I feel like I'm crazy. I know, and like on YouTube, like look up like Pocahontas review. People like aren't the biggest fans of it. I don't know.
what the fuck
Thought it
is
was
the
so
reason?
good. I don't know.
What was
I
the
don't know.
reason?
I don't know.
It does have a 54% on Tomato Meter. But is that because of the problematic elements is my only wonder.
Yeah.
Because then I understand. But if
I
it's
don't
just like story based, I'm truly confused.
Yeah. I don't know. But anyway, I was personally a fan, and I don't really know what else to say about it. But
Yeah, we should wrap. I mean, we've been talking at you guys for God, I don't know how long.
But do you
As
know what
long
they
as the
voted? Do you know what they voted for next week?
No. Oh my God, I'm scared.
It's Toy Story.
You know why? Because everyone wants to talk about.
Yeah, I know. It's about time I address the elephant in the room, and
I'm gonna take on like kind of like a little bit of like a Maury role to talk to you about him.
Okay. And I think that's what needs to happen. I'm honestly excited. I haven't watched this film in a long time, but
I don't even remember it.
Toy Story 1, I think, is a little bit more like mature, honestly. Like the tone isn't as happy as like the second or third.
Okay.
Like, and I think like Woody is kind of an asshole in this film. Like he's not. Yeah. So I'm excited for this one. I'm excited for this.
I can't wait to unpack this.
I know.
Like no memory of it other than I think I was like terrified of Sid as a kid.
Fair.
He was a scary villain.
This was on repeat.
Was it? Okay, so
in
you
my
know this
household.
really well.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know this one that well.
I'm excited to watch it again.
Okay,
I'm so excited to watch this one again.
Well, you guys, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
For all these. This one was a little heavier. We knew it was going to be. So thank you for being with us. I was telling Brett, my therapist says I need to, me personally, I need to show all sides of myself. So this was a deeper side.
Yeah, this was a deeper side, and thank you for sticking along. I would love to hear your comments on it, on Patreon if you want to leave a comment or whatever.
Yep.
Or DM us. I
love your guys' DMs. Every DM that we get, honestly, the really nice ones I screenshot and I send them to Brett, and we're both like, oh my God, people listen to this. Like,
I know.
It
gets me every time.
It's so sweet.
But yeah, if you feel like we're like so off the base on something about this, like please let us know in the DMs.
Definitely let us know for sure.
Totally open to it.
Join our Patreon if you want to help us. We are now letting people just pick what we're gonna do next week, and I was shocked how fast people voted in this poll. I was telling you, it literally still said just now, and we already had like 15 votes. Like people were on it.
I know. I love it. You guys. I love you guys so much. Okay. Anyway,
so Toy Story it is. Okay, how do we exit this?
Can you paint with all the colors of the